The massive starship Celestial Harmony hung in orbit around Earth, its sleek, silver hull reflecting the pale blue glow of humanity's home world. Inside the ship's bustling docking bay, Dr. Elara Chen took a deep breath, steadying herself as she prepared to meet the delegation from the Galactic Confederation. At 32, Elara was one of Earth's brightest xenobiologists, chosen to represent humanity in this unprecedented meeting of species. Her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity was about to take its first steps onto the galactic stage. The airlock hissed open, and Elara's eyes widened as the alien delegation emerged. Leading the group was a tall, willowy figure with iridescent blue skin and eyes that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. This had to be High Counselor Zarevek's, the leader of the Galactic Confederation. Zarevek's gaze swept over the human delegation, lingering on Elara. When she spoke, her voice was melodious yet commanding. "Greetings, representatives of Earth. We welcome you to the cosmic community." Elara stepped forward, bowing slightly. "High Counselor, on behalf of Earth, we are honored by your presence and eager to learn from you." As the formal introductions continued, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that Zarevek was watching her intently. There was something in those starry eyes that made Elara's skin tingle with an unfamiliar energy. Over the next few weeks, Elara found herself working closely with the alien delegation. The Celestial Harmony became a floating embassy, with humans and aliens alike learning to coexist and collaborate. Elara was in her element, studying the biology of a dozen different species and marveling at the diversity of life in the galaxy. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural misunderstandings abounded, and tensions sometimes ran high. Elara often found herself playing peacemaker, using her empathy and quick wit to smooth over ruffled feathers, both literal and metaphorical. One particularly tense moment came during a joint research project. Elara was working with a Centauri scientist, a reptilian being named Cax, on analyzing the effects of deep space radiation on various organic compounds. As they debated the best approach, their discussion grew heated. "Your methods are primitive," Cax hissed, his scales bristling. "How can you expect to contribute meaningfully to galactic science when you've barely mastered interplanetary travel?" Elara felt her cheeks flush with anger, but she took a deep breath before responding. "With all due respect, Cax, sometimes a fresh perspective can lead to breakthroughs. Our primitive methods have allowed us to adapt and survive on a planet that's seen more changes in a few thousand years than some worlds see in millions." The argument might have escalated further, but a smooth voice interrupted them. "An excellent point, Dr. Chen." Elara turned to see High Counselor Zarevek gliding into the lab, her presence immediately commanding attention. The alien leader's eyes sparkled with interest as she approached. "It is precisely this adaptability, this drive to overcome challenges, that makes humanity so intriguing," Zarevek continued. "Perhaps, Scientist Cax, we could all benefit from a bit of human ingenuity." Cax lowered his head in deference, though Elara could see the reluctance in his posture. "Of course, High Counselor. I will consider the human perspective." As Cax slithered away, Zarevek turned her full attention to Elara. "I must commend you on your patience, Dr. Chen. It is not easy being the representative of a newcomer species." Elara smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her at the High Counselor's praise. "Thank you, High Counselor. I believe that with open minds and open hearts, we can bridge any gap between our cultures." Zarevek's expression softened, and for a moment, Elara thought she saw something vulnerable in those cosmic eyes. "Indeed, Dr. Chen, and please, when we are not in formal settings, you may call me Zara." As the days passed, Elara found herself spending more and more time with Zara. The alien leader seemed fascinated by human culture, peppering Elara with questions about Earth's history, art, and philosophy. In turn, Elara was captivated by Zara's tales of distant worlds and ancient civilizations. But as their relationship grew closer, Ilara began to notice something strange. Sometimes, when they were alone together, the air around Zara would shimmer, and objects in the room would tremble as if affected by an unseen force. Zara would always quickly compose herself, but Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. One evening, as they stood in the ship's observation deck, watching the Earth spin below them, Zara suddenly gasped and stumbled. Ilara reached out to steady her, and the moment their skin touched, a jolt of energy passed between them. "Zara, what's wrong?" Ilara asked, concern etching her features. The alien leader's eyes were wide, a mix of fear and something else, something primal, swirling in their depths. I must go," Zara stammered, pulling away abruptly. "Forgive me, Dr. Chen." As Zara hurried from the room, leaving a confused and worried Ilara behind, neither of them noticed the small, delicate flower that had sprouted from the metal floor where a drop of Zara's sweat had fallen. Its petals shimmered with an otherworldly light, a harbinger of the strange and wondrous journey that lay ahead for both human and alien alike. As days turned into weeks aboard the Celestial Harmony, Ilara couldn't shake the memory of Zara's sudden departure from the observation deck. The High Counselor had become increasingly elusive, cancelling meetings and avoiding public areas of the ship. Rumors swirled among both human and alien crew members, but no one seemed to know what was really going on. Ilara threw herself into her work, trying to distract herself from her growing concern. She was in the middle of analyzing some particularly fascinating alien microbial samples when her lab partner, a jovial Andromedan named Lux, burst into the room. "Ilara, you won't believe what just happened in the mess hall." Lux's bioluminescent skin pulsed with excitement. Ilara looked up from her microscope, raising an eyebrow. "What is it, Lux?" "It's the High Counselor," Lux whispered, leaning in close. She came in for a meal, looking absolutely awful. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. And then, right in the middle of the room, every piece of furniture started floating. Ilara's heart raced. "Floating, that's impossible. The artificial gravity." I know, Lux interrupted. "But I saw it with my own eyes. And that's not all." Before anyone could react, the High Counselor let out this sound. It was like nothing I've ever heard before. Half the crew collapsed, holding their heads in pain. And then she just vanished. Ilara's mind whirled with possibilities. She'd seen hints of Zara's strange abilities before, but nothing on this scale. Where is she now? Lux shrugged, his skin dimming slightly. "No one knows. The ship's security is in chaos. They're saying she's locked herself in her quarters and won't come out." Without a word, Ilara stripped off her lab coat and headed for the door. She knew she was probably overstepping her bounds, but something told her that Zara needed help, and that she might be the only one who could provide it. As Ilara approached the High Counselor's quarters, she found a group of agitated alien officials arguing outside the sealed door. "We must break in," a Zentari ambassador hissed. "The High Counselor is clearly unwell. She could be a danger to herself and the entire ship, and risk further agitating her." A Plex emissary countered, its gelatinous form quivering with anxiety. "You saw what happened in the mess hall. We have no idea what she's capable of in this state." Ilara took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I might be able to help." The alien officials turned to her, expressions ranging from skepticism to outright dismissal. "You, a human," the Zentari scoffed. "What could you possibly do?" Ilara stood her ground. "High Counselor Zaravex and I have developed a rapport. She might be willing to speak with me. At the very least, it's worth a try before we resort to more drastic measures." The aliens exchanged glances, then grudgingly stepped aside. Ilara approached the door, her heart pounding. She placed her hand on the cool metal surface and spoke softly. "Zara, it's Ilara. I'm alone. Please, if you can hear me, let me in. I want to help." For a long moment, there was silence. Then, with a soft hiss, The door slid open just enough for Ilara to slip inside. As soon as she entered, it sealed shut behind her. The room was dark, lit only by the faint glow of distant stars through the viewport. Ilara's eyes adjusted slowly, and she gasped at what she saw. Zara was huddled in a corner, her usual regal bearing gone. Her skin shimmered and pulsed with an otherworldly light, and the air around her crackled with energy. When she looked up at Ilara, her eyes were wild, filled with a mixture of pain and hunger. "Ilara," Zara's voice was hoarse. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe." Ilara took a cautious step forward. "What's happening to you, Zara? Please, let me help." Zara let out a bitter laugh. "Help? No one can help me. This is natural, for my kind, but it's never been this intense before, never been triggered by." She trailed off, her gaze locked on Ilara with an intensity that made the human skin tingle. Ilara's scientific mind raced, trying to piece together the puzzle. Is this some kind of biological cycle, like a mating season? Zara nodded weakly. "We call it the awakening. It happens once in a lifetime, when we encounter our true genetic match. But it's never happened with a member of another species before. It shouldn't be possible." Ilara's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You mean, me? I triggered this." Before Zara could respond, a wave of energy pulsed out from her body. Ilara felt herself lifted off her feet, drawn inexorably toward the alien leader. Their faces were inches apart, and Ilara could feel the heat radiating from Zara's skin. "I've tried to fight it," Zara whispered, her breath hot against Ilara's cheek. "But I can't. The pull is too strong. If we don't complete the bond, I'll lose control completely. The ship, the crew, everything could be destroyed." Ilara's mind reeled. This was beyond anything she'd ever encountered in her studies. But as she looked into Zara's eyes, seeing the pain and fear there, she knew she couldn't walk away. "Tell me what to do," Ilara said softly. "Whatever it takes, I'm here." As their lips met in a kiss that seemed to ignite the very air around them, Ilara knew that her life, and the future of human-alien relations, would never be the same again. The kiss between Ilara and Zara sent shockwaves through the celestial harmony, literally. As their lips met, a surge of energy pulsed outward, temporarily disrupting the ship's systems and causing a momentary loss of artificial gravity. Crew members throughout the vessel found themselves floating, surrounded by a shimmering aurora of alien energy. In Zara's quarters, Ilara broke away from the kiss, gasping for air. Her entire body tingled, as if every cell had been awakened to a new level of awareness. Zara's skin glowed even brighter now, her eyes swirling with cosmic energy. What just happened?" Ilara stammered, trying to regain her composure. Zara's voice was steadier now, some of her regal bearing returning. "The first stage of the bond. It's unprecedented. Your human physiology is reacting in ways I never imagined possible." Before they could discuss further, the door to Zara's quarters burst open. A team of alien medical officers rushed in, led by Dr. Krell, the ship's chief xenobiologist. The Arcturian's multiple eyes widened as he took in the scene. "High Counselor, are you?" Dr. Krell stopped short, his gaze shifting between Zara and Ilara. "What in the name of the cosmic void is going on here?" Ilara straightened, her scientific instincts kicking in despite the bizarre situation. "Dr. Krell, I believe we're dealing with a unique biochemical reaction. The High Counselor is undergoing a process called the awakening, and for some reason, my human physiology has triggered it." Dr. Krell's tendrils twitched with a mixture of fascination and concern. "Impossible. The awakening is specific to Zorovex's species. No outsider has ever." "And yet, here we are," Zara interjected, her voice carrying the weight of authority despite her weakened state. "Dr. Chen speaks the truth. We must study this phenomenon immediately." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Ilara found herself in the ship's advanced medical bay, surrounded by curious and slightly wary alien scientists. She and Zara were subjected to a battery of tests, their vital signs monitored as the xenobiology team attempted to unravel the mystery of their unprecedented bond. As Dr. Krell reviewed the results, his expression grew increasingly agitated. "This is remarkable," he muttered, more to himself than to the others. "The human's DNA is adapting, incorporating elements of the High Counselor's genetic structure, and the energy readings, they're off the charts." Ilara, ever the scientist even as the subject of study, leaned forward to examine the data. "It's almost as if our bodies are trying to achieve some kind of symbiosis," she mused. "But why? And what will the end result be?" Zara, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "In a normal awakening, the bond serves to strengthen both partners, enhancing our natural abilities and ensuring genetic compatibility for the next generation. But this is something entirely new." As they discussed the implications, alarms suddenly blared throughout the medical bay. Ilara felt a wave of dizziness wash over her, and she saw Zara sway on her feet. "Energy spike," one of the alien technicians shouted. "It's emanating from both subjects." Ilara reached out instinctively, grasping Zara's hand. The moment they touched, the energy field around them intensified. Medical equipment sparked and sputtered, and the other aliens backed away in alarm. Through the haze of energy and confusion, Ilara locked eyes with Zara. In that moment, something passed between them, not just physically, but mentally. Ilara gasped as fragments of alien memories and knowledge flooded her mind. "I can see everything," Ilara whispered, awe in her voice. "The history of your people, the vastness of the galaxy, it's all there." Zara nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "And I can see your world, Ilara. The beauty of Earth, the resilience of humanity, it's magnificent." Dr. Krell, watching from behind a hastily erected energy shield, called out to them. "High Counselor, Dr. Chen, your vital signs are becoming erratic. We need to stabilize you before." But his words were cut off as another pulse of energy burst forth from the joined pair. This time, instead of causing chaos, the energy seemed to coalesce into a shimmering cocoon around Ilara and Zara. Inside the cocoon, Ilara felt a profound sense of peace wash over her. She could sense Zara's presence not just physically, but on a deeper, almost spiritual level. Their minds touched, exchanging knowledge, emotions, and understanding at a rate that defied comprehension. As the cocoon of energy pulsed and shifted, Ilara became aware of changes happening within her body. Her senses sharpened, colors became more vivid, and she could suddenly perceive wavelengths of light that had been invisible to her before. Beside her, Zara was undergoing her own transformation, her alien biology incorporating elements of human adaptability and ingenuity. Outside the cocoon, the alien medical team watched in a mixture of awe and trepidation. None of their instruments could penetrate the energy field, leaving them blind to the profound changes occurring within. Hours passed, though to Ilara and Zara, it felt like both an eternity and a mere moment. Finally, with a soft sigh, the energy cocoon began to dissipate. As it faded away, it revealed two figures that were at once familiar and startlingly new. Ilara stood tall, her skin now shimmering with a faint, otherworldly glow. Her eyes, once a simple brown, now swirled with flecks of cosmic light. Beside her, Zara appeared more grounded, her ethereal features taking on a touch of human warmth and solidity. As the assembled aliens stared in shock, Ilara and Zara turned to each other, communicating without words. They had emerged from the cocoon not just bonded, but fundamentally changed, a perfect fusion of human and alien, embodying the strengths of both species. Dr. Krell was the first to break the stunned silence. By all the stars, he breathed. "What have you become?" Ilara and Zara spoke in unison, their voices harmonizing in a way that sent shivers through everyone present. "We are the bridge," they said, "the first of a new era of understanding between all species of the galaxy." As the implications of what had just occurred began to sink in, Alara knew that their journey was far from over. The bond between her and Zara had not just changed them, it had the potential to reshape the entire future of human-alien relations. And somewhere deep inside, she sensed that the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The news of Alara and Zara's transformation spread through the celestial harmony like wildfire. Crew members, both human and alien, gathered in hushed groups, speculating about what this unprecedented event could mean for the future of interspecies relations. In the ship's main conference room, an emergency meeting of the Galactic Confederation's leadership was underway. Holographic projections of representatives from a dozen different worlds flickered around the table, their faces a mix of concern, curiosity, and in some cases, outright hostility. Alara and Zara stood at the head of the table, their newly transformed appearance drawing wary glances from the assembled delegates. Dr. Krell stood nearby, ready to present his preliminary findings on their condition. "This is an abomination," the Zentari ambassador hissed, his scales bristling with agitation. "The High Counselor has been contaminated by human DNA. She can no longer be considered fit to lead the Confederation." Murmurs of agreement rippled through some of the delegates, while others looked uncomfortable or uncertain. Zara stepped forward, her voice carrying the same authority it always had, but now with an added resonance that seemed to touch something deep within each listener. "I assure you, Ambassador, my faculties are not only intact but enhanced. This transformation has given me insights into humanity that will prove invaluable in our ongoing relations." Alara nodded, adding her own perspective. "And I now carry within me a deeper understanding of the Confederation and its member species than any human has ever possessed. We stand before you as living proof that our species can not only coexist, but synergize in ways we never imagined possible." The Plex emissary's gelatinous form rippled with interest. "Fascinating. But what are the larger implications of this merger? Could it be replicated? And more importantly, should it be?" Dr. Krell stepped forward, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly as he addressed the gathering. "Esteemed delegates, my team has been working around the clock to understand what has occurred. While we still have much to learn, I can say with certainty that this was not a random event. The genetic compatibility between High Counselor Zara Vex and Dr. Chen is, quite literally, 1 in a trillion." He paused, letting that sink in before continuing. "However, the energy readings we recorded during their transformation suggest that this event has had far-reaching consequences. We're detecting ripples in the very fabric of spacetime, emanating outward from the celestial harmony." A hush fell over the room as the implications of Dr. Krell's words sank in. It was the Androndan representative who broke the silence, its crystalline voice chiming with concern. "Are you suggesting that this incident could have effects beyond our immediate vicinity, perhaps even on a galactic scale?" Dr. Krell's tendrils twisted in a gesture of affirmation. "It's not just possible, it's highly probable. We're already receiving reports from nearby systems of unusual phenomena. Spontaneous plant growth on barren moons, inexplicable surges in technological efficiency, even instances of telepathic communication between species that have never before been able to connect mentally." The conference room erupted into chaos, with delegates shouting over each other in a cacophony of alien languages. Accusations flew, threats were made, and for a moment it seemed as if the fragile alliance of the Galactic Confederation might shatter. Alara felt a surge of panic rising within her. This was spiraling out of control. She locked eyes with Zara, and in that instant, they shared a thought. Moving as one, they stepped into the center of the room. "Enough!" Their voices rang out in perfect unison, carrying with it a wave of calming energy that washed over the agitated delegates. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the transformed pair. "We understand your fears," Alara began, her voice gentle but firm. "What's happened to us is unprecedented, and the unknown can be terrifying." Zara continued seamlessly, "But we must not let fear drive us apart at this crucial moment. The changes rippling through our galaxy are not a threat, but an opportunity. Together, they addressed the gathering. We propose an expedition, a journey to the heart of these space-time disturbances. With our unique abilities, we may be able to understand and perhaps even guide these changes. The room was silent for a long moment as the delegates processed this proposal. Finally, the Arcturian elder spoke, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. And what if you're wrong? What if these changes prove catastrophic? The risk is enormous. Ilara nodded, acknowledging the concern. You're right. The risk is great, but so is the potential reward. This could be the dawn of a new era of galactic cooperation and understanding. We're not asking you to trust blindly, Zara added. We're asking for a chance to prove that what's happened to us can benefit all species. The delegates began to murmur among themselves, the mood in the room shifting from hostility to cautious consideration. The Andromedan representative chimed in. If we approve this expedition, what exactly do you plan to do? Ilara and Zara exchanged a glance, then Ilara spoke. We believe that the epicenter of these disturbances lies in a region of space known as the cosmic veil. It's a place where the barriers between dimensions are said to be thinnest. Our theory, Zara continued, is that our transformation has somehow thinned these barriers further, allowing energies from other realms to seep into our universe. If we can reach the cosmic veil, we may be able to stabilize these effects and perhaps even harness them for the benefit of all. The room fell silent as the delegates contemplated this audacious plan. The stakes were impossibly high, the dangers unknown. Yet the potential benefits were equally vast. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Zentari ambassador spoke, his voice grudging but resolved. I still have my doubts, but I cannot deny the potential here. I vote we approve this expedition. One by one, the other delegates voiced their agreement. It wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. The expedition to the cosmic veil would proceed. As the meeting adjourned and preparations began, Ilara and Zara stood together, looking out at the stars through the conference room's viewport. The weight of their responsibilities settled upon them, but so did a sense of excitement and purpose. Are we ready for this? Ilara asked softly, a hint of her old human uncertainty creeping into her voice. Zara took her hand, their fingers intertwining. Together, she said, we're ready for anything. As the celestial harmony prepared for its most daring journey yet, neither Ilara nor Zara could have predicted the wonders and perils that awaited them at the edge of known space. The fate of not just their own species, but of the entire galaxy, now rested in their hands. The celestial harmony hummed with nervous energy as it approached the coordinates of the cosmic veil. Ilara stood on the bridge, her transformed senses allowing her to perceive the subtle shifts in the fabric of space around them. Beside her, Zara communicated silently with the ship's AI, guiding their course through the increasingly unstable region. We're picking up some strange readings, reported Lieutenant Nix, a young human officer who had quickly adapted to the ship's alien technology. It's like the laws of physics are breaking down out there. Ilara nodded, her eyes swirling with cosmic energy as she processed the data. The barrier between dimensions is growing thinner. We need to proceed with caution. As if in response to her words, the ship suddenly shuddered violently. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to maintain control. Spatial rupture detected, shouted Dr. Krell from his science station. It's pulling us in. Before anyone could react, a blinding flash of light engulfed the bridge. When it faded, Ilara found herself elsewhere. She was standing in what appeared to be a lush alien forest. The trees pulsed with bioluminescence, and the air was thick with spores that danced like fireflies. But something was off. The colors seemed too vivid, the sounds too crisp. It was as if reality itself had been turned up to 11. Zara? Ilara called out, her voice echoing strangely in the hyper-real environment. Anyone? A rustling in the underbrush caught her attention. Ilara tensed, ready for anything. But what emerged was the last thing she expected. It was herself, or rather, a version of herself from before the transformation. This Ilara looked exactly as she had when she first boarded the celestial harmony, wide-eyed, uncertain, but filled with curiosity. "Who? What are you?" Ilara asked, her mind reeling. The other Ilara smiled sadly. "I'm you. The you that could have been if you hadn't bonded with Zara. The you that stayed human." Ilara felt a pang of, was it regret? Longing? "I don't understand. Why are you here?" "To ask you a question," the human Ilara replied. "Was it worth it? Giving up your humanity? Becoming something other?" The question hit Ilara like a physical blow. She had been so caught up in the wonder and responsibility of her transformation that she hadn't fully processed what she had lost. Her family back on Earth, her simple human joys and sorrows, the life she might have led. Before she could formulate an answer, the scene shifted. Ilara found herself floating in a vast, starry void. But these weren't the stars she knew. They pulsed with alien rhythms, their light carrying whispers of cosmic secrets. "Beautiful, isn't it?" came Zara's voice from beside her. Ilara turned to see not the Zara she knew, but a being of pure energy, radiant and incomprehensible. This was Zara as she might have been without the human influence, a godlike entity beyond mortal understanding. "This is the universe as my people see it," the energy Zara explained. "Infinite possibility, unfettered by physical form. This could have been your future had you fully embraced the alien within you." Ilara felt a pull towards this transcendent state, a yearning to shed the last vestiges of her mortality and merge with the cosmos, but something held her back. "Why show me this?" she asked, her voice small in the vastness of space. The energy Zara pulsed with what might have been sadness, to remind you of the choice you made, the power you turned away from. Again, the scene dissolved. This time, Ilara found herself back on Earth, in a cozy living room she recognized as her childhood home. An older version of herself sat on the couch, surrounded by family. Children played on the floor, her children she somehow knew. A life unlived stretched out before her, full of simple human joys. "This is what you left behind," said a voice. Ilara turned to see her mother, exactly as she remembered her. A normal life, a chance to grow old surrounded by love. Tears welled in Ilara's eyes. "Mom, my." Her mother held up a hand. "We're not really here, sweetheart. This is a test. The cosmic veil is forcing you to confront your choices, your doubts." Ilara's mind raced. "Then, none of this is real." "It's as real as you make it," her mother replied cryptically. "The question is, what will you choose?" The room began to fade, and Ilara felt herself being pulled in 3 directions at once. The human Ilara, the transcendent Zara, and the family she never had, all beckoned to her. In that moment of crisis, Ilara closed her eyes and looked deep within herself. She thought of the journey that had brought her here, the wonders she had seen, the love she had found with Zara. But she also remembered her human roots, the strength and resilience that had defined her species. When she opened her eyes, Ilara found herself back on the bridge of the celestial harmony. Zara stood beside her, looking shaken but resolute. Around them, the crew was picking themselves up, looking disoriented. "Did you?" Ilara began. Zara nodded. "Experience visions. Yes, the cosmic veil tested us, showed us paths not taken." Ilara took Zara's hand, feeling the perfect balance of human warmth and alien energy in her touch. "And what did you choose?" Zara smiled, her eyes swirling with starlight and human depth. "I chose us. This path we forged together, neither fully human nor fully alien, but something beautifully in between." Ilara felt a wave of relief and love wash over her. As did I. Their moment of connection was interrupted by Dr. Krell's excited voice. "High Counselor, Dr. Chen, you need to see this." They turned to the main view screen, and what they saw took their breath away. The cosmic veil stretched before them, a shimmering curtain of energy that rippled with infinite possibilities. But now, instead of chaos, it pulsed with a steady, harmonious rhythm. "It's stabilizing," Nick said in awe. "The readings are off the charts, but in a good way. It's like the veil is singing." Ilara and Zara shared a look of understanding. Their choice, their affirmation of their unique bond, had somehow resonated with the very fabric of the universe. They had passed the test, and in doing so, had opened a new chapter in the story of life in the cosmos. "Send word to the Galactic Confederation," Zara commanded, her voice ringing with authority and hope. "Tell them, a new age has begun." As the celestial harmony hung suspended before the now harmonious cosmic veil, Ilara felt a profound sense of rightness. The path ahead was unknown, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But with Zara by her side, bridging the gap between human and alien, she knew they were ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The true adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. The return journey of the celestial harmony was marked by a palpable sense of anticipation. As they traveled, Ilara and Zara worked tirelessly with Dr. Krell and the science team to analyze the data collected from the cosmic veil. The results were nothing short of revolutionary. "It's as if the veil has become a conduit," Dr. Krell explained during a briefing, his tendrils waving excitedly. "A bridge between dimensions that's allowing a controlled flow of energy and information." Ilara nodded, her enhanced mind quickly grasping the implications. "And this energy, it's not just affecting space, it's affecting life itself." Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. On countless worlds, species that had long been separate were finding new ways to communicate and cooperate. Ecosystems were flourishing, with barren planets springing to life almost overnight. Even technology was advancing at an unprecedented rate, as if the laws of physics themselves had decided to be more accommodating. As the celestial harmony approached Earth, Ilara felt a mix of emotions. This was her homecoming, but she was no longer the woman who had left. Would her own people accept what she had become? The ship entered Earth's orbit, and a welcoming committee like no other in human history assembled. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered alongside delegates from the Galactic Confederation. The eyes of two civilizations were upon them. As Ilara and Zara stepped off the ship, a hush fell over the crowd. Humans gasped at Ilara's transformation, while aliens marveled at the subtle changes in Zara. Together, they approached the podium, ready to address the assembled representatives of Earth and the wider galaxy. Zara spoke first, her voice carrying easily across the gathering. "People of Earth, honored delegates of the Galactic Confederation, we stand before you today as living proof of what can be achieved when we open our hearts and minds to the possibilities of the universe." Ilara continued seamlessly, "Our journey to the cosmic veil has unlocked potential that we are only beginning to understand. But one thing is clear, the future of all our species is intertwined." Together, they recounted their experiences, the trials they faced, and the wonders they had witnessed. As they spoke, a sense of awe and hope spread through the crowd. Even the most skeptical listeners found themselves captivated by the possibility of a truly united galaxy. "But this is only the beginning," Zara said, her eyes sweeping across the assembly. "The energy from the cosmic veil is changing our reality in ways we never imagined possible. We must learn to harness this power responsibly to guide our civilizations towards a brighter future." Ilara nodded, adding, "And to do that, we must come together. Not as humans and aliens, not as separate species, but as fellow travelers in this vast cosmos." As they concluded their speech, a moment of silence fell over the gathering. Then, slowly at first, but building to a crescendo, applause erupted. Humans and aliens alike cheered, many with tears in their eyes, as the full impact of what had been achieved sank in. In the days and weeks that followed, a new era of cooperation dawned. The United Earth Government and the Galactic Confederation began the complex process of full integration. Joint scientific missions were launched to study the effects of the cosmic veil energy. Cultural exchange programs flourished, with humans and aliens eager to learn from one another. Ilara and Zara found themselves at the center of it all, serving as bridges between worlds. Their unique perspective, blending human intuition with alien wisdom, proved invaluable in navigating the challenges of this new age. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of the newly constructed Interstellar Embassy in New York, Ilara gazed up at the stars. The sky seemed different now, more alive somehow. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked Zara softly. "The choice we made?" Zara took her hand, their fingers intertwining in a gesture that had become as natural as breathing. "Not for a moment," she replied. "Every day, I'm amazed by the strength and adaptability of your species. The human part of me has made me more than I ever was before." Ilara smiled, feeling the alien energy that now coursed through her veins. "And I never imagined I could perceive the universe the way I do now. We've both gained so much." As they stood there, a shooting star streaked across the sky. But it wasn't just light they saw. Their enhanced senses perceived the complex dance of matter and energy, the very fabric of space-time rippling in its wake. "There's still so much to explore," Ilara mused. "So many mysteries to unravel." Zara nodded, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "And we'll face them together. Not just you and I, but all of us, every species, united in the greatest adventure of all." As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, Ilara and Zara looked out over the city. Hovercars zipped between skyscrapers, their designs a blend of human ingenuity and alien technology. In the parks below, children of a dozen species played together, their laughter a symphony of unity. This was the future they had helped create, a world where the boundaries between human and alien, between the possible and impossible, had been forever blurred. And as the new day dawned, Ilara and Zara knew that the true story of humanity's place in the cosmos was only just beginning. The stars beckoned, and together, as one united galactic civilization, they would answer the call.